Hello there. Welcome to another episode of What's Up, CK, where we talk to different municipal officials, individuals, and organizations that do some amazing things during these very trying times in our whole world. And a couple of weeks ago, we spoke with Deb Crawford, Director of Education for the St-Clair Catholic District School Board. And I figured, we should figure out what's going on in the Lambton-Kent District School Board. I'm happy to have John Howitt, Director of Education. John, thanks for joining me today.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
So I got to ask you, since back in March when the kids got an early March break school, how have you guys been doing during these very interesting times in our community, province, and the whole world for that matter?
Well, it has been extraordinary times for us, and I can't be anything but proud for the work that our staff have been doing, for the way the community has come together. I speak about some of the silver linings in this time of pandemic, the increased parent engagement, the involvement of the community, the resurgence of interest in education and the value of education is another piece that's really come out. Our staff have just been working nonstop in what has been a very changing environment that every time we think we have plans, the target changes and we've been able to adapt and move along. So I would suggest we're doing okay.
Yeah, I think during the summer, I think you were already kind of putting the plans of actions, like how are we going to start with September? So are you feeling that, the staff, the students, the parents, the admin, everyone's kind of handling the new normal, the planning logistics that were put into place during the summer?
I think schools need to be a community space, and they need to be a community within themselves. The cohorting right now has students sticking with just a certain set of students. So I'm really hoping that actually isn't our new normal, and it's just a reality for a period of time to get through the pandemic. Because I think it's really important that senior students in a school are supporting younger students, for example, to provide those mentoring opportunities. I think it's really important to have volunteers in the building on a regular time basis. So all of that said, though, the protocols we have in place seem to be working. We now do have examples of where COVID has come into our schools, and through our partnership with public health, we have had to dismiss either staff or students or both. Yet we have not yet, and touch wood, to date had any inter-school transference of COVID. So it's been brought in, but it has not been spread. And I think that's really speaks volumes to the efforts and the protocols that are in place, and the work that our staff are doing and our parents are doing to help ensure that our students are safe. One of those key protocols in this new reality is that the school day really starts now before you leave the home.
Okay.
That's the first line of defense of ensuring that COVID doesn't come to the school. Of doing that daily pre-screener. And again, touch wood, that seems to be working.
Yeah. No, there have been a lot of protocols that have been put into place. And, touch wood, like you said, numbers have been really good. Chatham-Kent has been, top and bottom, left to right, I's are dotted, T's are crossed to make sure everyone is safe and happy as we go in. So when we had spoke with Deb, the big decision for most parents to allow kids to, if they wanted to go to school, had just passed, or to do everything virtually from homeschool. I guess we didn't get really to touch base on the Lambton-Kent side, but did you see an increase or a decrease of student attendance before that deadline had hit?
Well, so I think there's a couple of different terms there, and I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. So there's attendance and then there's enrollment.
Yes.
And so through that August time, and in an unbelievably quick time frame, in under 3 weeks, we created 2 new schools, a brand new secondary school, which is currently our largest school, and that's our virtual learning school in secondary with about 1,200 pupils in it. And then our largest elementary school, which had also the virtual school, which has about 2,000 pupils in it. So that reflected about 14% of our overall enrollment that shifted into the virtual world for learning. That also means about 85% of our students stayed in face-to-face, and about 1% we've seen have gone to homeschooling, which means they've withdrawn from the board and are providing the Ontario curriculum within their own home, but not as students of the board. So that was a bit of an increase for us. We would normally have approximately 200 to 230 students, kindergarten to grade 12, who are homeschooled. And this year we're up a little over 500, approaching 600. So that is an increase. In terms of daily attendance, we're really proud of the attendance that we are maintaining. And I think it speaks volumes to the programming that our staff are providing to the students and to the supports from the home. So our attendance, actual daily attendance, is very good. Actually, I just got an email from one of my principals that said 100% attendance today at the school. An opportunity for celebration for sure.
Yeah, no, and that's a good thing that we're having attendance. You know, I think some of the weather is actually kind of making things better. You know, some kids, you know, right around this time, it could be snow, it could be rain. We're not sure. So I think, you know, the way you said the new reality, I think kids are definitely adapting to everything going on with the education system. Mm-hmm. And kind of segue to my next question about resources. Whether you're in kindergarten, grade 1 to, you know, even up to grade 12 into high school, mental health is playing a big factor for a lot of everywhere in the world right now with COVID hitting. What kind of resources are being offered everywhere from, you know, the education to high school to, you know, senior kindergarten? Have they been utilized? Or are you finding kids are feeling okay with everything going on?
So mental health has been part of the focus right from that Friday, March 13th date that lives in infamy for us in the education system. And it has been an area that the province has invested in, as well as our trustees have allocated budget for it as well. So I start back then because for the first time ever that I can recall in education, we offered many services that normally would come to an end in June, and we continued them through July and August. Some of those were in the area of mental health supports and social work especially, that was allowed to continue. We've also seen an interesting shift in that the caseload of social workers has shifted slightly. Back in the spring, we really saw that students who may have been on the caseload for reasons of school anxiety, test anxiety, those kinds of things, were actually doing fairly well in the learn from home environment, and weren't in as great a need of mental health support. The flip side of that, however, is the social animals who absolutely thrive in a school setting, in that social setting, were really struggling being withdrawn at home and not having the opportunity to interact. So some of our mental health supports had to shift from existing caseloads to new caseloads. And that was a big learning for us that continued through July and August, and something we've kept an eye on throughout the fall. We've also been really focused on the work that's been happening globally around race, and especially anti-Black racism and oppression. You will recall that some of the biggest race riots were happening during our Learn at Home in spring. And the students didn't have necessarily a group or a peer group or an opportunity to talk about that or how they were feeling. So we were already in process of adding a new consultant for kindergarten to grade 12, an inclusive diversity consultant to meet our new strategic priority of inclusive diversity. And so that's been really helpful as well. And that work is starting to increase and being more evident. The piece, and I'm happy to be focusing on students, but staff mental health is another piece. And the fatigue that we're seeing because staff are on all the time now and are very concerned for their students, who they always put first. Staff mental health is something that we're also trying to focus on and have an awareness for our staff of self-care as well.
That's well said. Again, you know, staff, students, everyone's kind of affected in one way or another. So it sounds like there's a lot of great protocols put into place, you know, thanks to all the administration hard work that both school boards are doing. So thanks for all you guys are doing. So one of the questions I've always liked to ask during, from March till now is good news stories. Everyone's kind of gone from, one low up, but through these trying times, everyone's got some good news stories from staff members, a letter of, thanks. Is there anything that you would like to share from your team that's happened from March till now?
So too much to list in this short time frame. So let me talk in a couple of broad generalizations. Lambton-Kent District School Board students were still very strong recipients of scholarships and bursaries to go to post-secondary education. The academic achievement continued, and they've been able to line up their post-secondary schools with some of those awards to make it easier on them. I think that's a celebration at any time when our students celebrate there. I think our attendance is a celebration. The number of families that have stuck with us, especially, I don't always like to compare other regions within the province and the numbers, but 85% face-to-face attendance, and not a huge shift when the opportunity came for families to change their program of choice. In the elementary panel, we had more families go from virtual learning back to face-to-face. In the secondary, we only had a difference of about 200 students moving from face-to-face to virtual. I think that's a celebration and speaks to the programming our staff do each and every day. Kind of a unique one, Eric, that I want to touch on is parent engagement. The research is really, really, really clear. The homeschool partnership has a positive impact on student achievement. Okay. And any time that you can have parent engagement, that impacts that homeschool partnership. And I'm not talking about parent participation, coming out to being an audience at a performance or participating in the fundraiser. That's awesome. We love it. We need it. However, engagement of really understanding what the students are doing with their learning, the teaching, being connected with the teacher, and finding out of those supports. Parent engagement has gone way up through this pandemic. Parents are far more interested in what their children, are doing at the school. And we've also created ways for parents who may not have been able to get into the school for some of those school meetings are now able to do it in a confidential through a screen process. So there's been a far greater opportunity for parents to participate in the development of IEPs, for example, individual education plans, or when there's concerns of other kinds of supports that student needs. So I think that's a great good news celebration as well.
Now, I think, every year, virtual, real life, school boards have adapted every year with new changes, whether it's coming from senior levels of government, whether a pandemic hit. So again, you guys and gals have done some amazing work. And from my experience with these quadmesters, the co-op program has also been a great thing. We're condensing, one full semester into 8 weeks. So I'm not a full teacher, but as I teach in the multimedia world, I think the students get a whole new learning experience. So I think there's been definitely some great things that you guys have figured out to make these all work. So thanks for all you guys are doing.
Yes, thank you. The full day courses for secondary has created some challenges for some courses and some incredible opportunities for others. Our foods programs, our tech programs, our music programs, where having that opportunity to spend more time with the class has been fantastic. The flip side is, we do have some classes where students struggle getting a full week's content within a day. That's hard to think, but our staff are doing a great job with it and need to be celebrated for the work they do. So thanks for recognizing that, Eric.
Absolutely. Pat on both shoulders for that. Thanks for what you guys are doing. John, is there anything else that you'd like to add as we wrap up?
I would, if I could. We often hear when there are challenges at the school, and we appreciate when parents reach out and let us know about that. However, could I ask, if you're happy with the work that your teacher is doing for your children, your school administration is doing, please reach out. Please reach out and just send them a quick email or leave a voicemail and just say thank you. Our staff are tired. They're working really, really hard on behalf of our students, and any opportunity for them to hear that their efforts are appreciated, we would welcome.
Absolutely. I'll put the link down for the Lambton-Kent District School Board. I know I did some research there, but I guess all parents have access to certain teacher emails and whatnot. So,
Yes.
parents, if you're listening out there, thank your teachers, thank those admins, thank those, specialty teachers that are helping out, because, I'm not a teacher, but I've seen all the work that's going out there, and man, it's not easy. No, thanks again, John, for all you guys are doing, and keep on trucking through these very interesting times.
My absolute pleasure. The students of Lambton County and Chatham-Kent are absolutely worth it. And again, I appreciate the partnership of everybody supporting our schools, virtual and face-to-face, through this pandemic.